I mean, Steve Jobs is rolling in his grave.
I think that when you look at the iPhone right now, it's frustrating.
Elon is like an unrestrained, 16-year-old.
Was brilliant.
But it was brilliant, right? And so, like in classic Elon fashion, this is how he rolls out these companions.
I think the whole user experience is going to be impacted significantly, but
I want to solve those problems before we start getting into actual user interface problems.
Would you all get an implant
today,
What is happening, party people? We are back with a AI companion on the Shuro podcast and friends of the pod, Michael Sengbusch, Suprit Patel. How are you, gentlemen?
good, man. Glad to be back.
Yeah, doing great.
So for those of you who don't know, these are, Michael and Suprit both have deep experience in product management in marketing. So very apropos to this conversation, but we want to talk about the UI UX wars as it relates to AI. A lot of news. Everyone's reacting to everyone else. And the biggest news story that hit just recently, early July, was the release of Comet, which was Perplexity's new browser. Any immediate comments? I don't know, Michael, have you had a chance to look at this, and what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is inevitable, right? I think we'll get to some other topics today, which I have a kind of differing opinions on, but I think this is inevitable and not at all surprising.
Great.
I mean, it's, we kind of position it as the UI UX wars. I think it's the browser wars.
Browser wars.
That's really where it's going, right? That's like your digital front door for users, and now it's a war for all these different companies to be able to capture those users, capture their data, kind of keep them in one ecosystem. And I think we're going to see some interesting decision points from users about, loyalty and efficiency, what's really important. There's going to be a lot coming here. So I'm interested to see all of these new tools and kind of play around with them a bit.
Yeah, I haven't played with it. I was not on the invite only list for Comet. I guess I didn't want to pay the Perplexity Max subscription. I don't, I'm reading the reviews, and the outpouring of support from Reddit was meh. But it just kind of like plays to the positioning of Perplexity. They're not an AI model. They use, they're frenemies. They're playing with all these models. Do they really want to stick their thumb in Google's eye with this release? And really, what does it do? I mean, so all this talk around automation, it's going to automate your emails, automate your calendar, your trip planning, the same three over and over again. Srinivas has said it's going to replace recruiters and administrative assistants. Is that exciting to any of you?
I mean, I think, Supri, you said it earlier, the workspace idea. I mean, I think that is where this is going. I think the problem with browsers up until now has been they've been like a standalone thing. And Google's obviously made attempts to integrate within the browser your files, your chats, your email. And that's like helpful. That's why people use Google. But if you take that one step further, and some of the stuff that Grok and ChatGPT are doing are starting to incorporate projects. They're starting to incorporate files. And boy, when they figure out how to incorporate email, the browser becomes the secondary product, and it gets tucked in as a way to do your search and your research or to get info or entertainment. But Google is kind of browser first.
Right.
And it's ad revenue, it's browser first, and then you have your files and your Gmail and all everything else in here. If you make the workspace first and then tuck in a browser search AI experience, starts to change how you interact a little bit.
Yeah, I like DuckDuckGo, that makes a lot of sense to me, for privacy. But Perplexity, without really an LLM behind it and their own, what's the use for them? I mean, I could see Google, ChatGPT, OpenAI having browsers for the training data and everything that comes with it. But Perplexity, yes, they'll collect data, but they're not training any model. There's not much positioning. It was a big deal when Google launched Chrome. I mean, everyone told Sundar Pichai that he was crazy, that you're nuts. This is a moonshot. This will get a little, but he made it work. That's the reason he became CEO, right? But I don't know. I mean, Perplexity, 30 million users, that's really impressive, but an $18 billion valuation on a $100 million revenue, what's that? 120 times revenue multiple? This thing seems overvalued to me. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to use, right? I mean, it's the videos on the website, and yeah, I kind of see it, but one thing that kind of kept coming up to me, and when I'm reading about Comet or even some of these other products, is who's going to use this, right? Like, are we siphoning off a small portion of the population? Where like, are these people like three of us? I could see I have multiple tabs open. All right, it's a great way to synthesize information. It makes my life easier, but you know, are there older users that are just going to get alienated from this? They don't really have the use for this. Is it kind of something that's being built for a very small subset of users? I don't know yet. I mean, who knows what people are doing right now, but
I mean, I think it's the right. So if you think about the origin of the idea, so you go back a few years and you think about AI, and the first thing you go is, okay, this should replace search, right? Everybody had that kind of epiphany, 3 years ago. So if you're developing a company, you're going, okay, well, should we just do an AI first browser? And it makes total sense. I mean, it's exactly the right type of thing to build. But then you get into okay, are people going to use this interpretation of what a AI browser works, or are we just going to wait for Google to do it? You
yeah,
know, or am I getting enough search functionality via X or Grok that I can get my information through there? So I'm going to go experiment over in X world and do it that way. It doesn't make sense if you do it standalone, and it just feels like it's the absolute right thing to build.
yeah,
Is it a company? Yeah, you kind of get into that.
yeah, it's
I
a
think that's
natural
fair.
evolution. I mean, a lot smarter people than me are invested in this. Jeff Bezos, Jensen Huang, Bessemer Ventures. I mean, they put a lot of money into Perplexity. So there's something there. Seems like a lot of the features that maybe have been hinted at that seem great. A lot of the automation, but with Perplexity's like recent track record with security and the latest story that they were ignoring robot text and scraping off Cloudflare caught them. I think people like the switching cost becomes a rule. Like, is it that much better than Chrome that I want to do it? And do you believe that Chrome will eventually catch up? Which we can jump into next, but that's kind of my take. I'm being overly negative on Perplexity, but like we're getting like referral sites. We're like Sure Oak is actually seeing a real uptick. I mean, the 30 million users a week is no joke. I mean, that is no joke. I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely got adoption. So not to underestimate what they're doing, and their research bench is huge. So anyway, enough about that. So how is Chrome going to react? Any thoughts about the giant of search?
Yeah, I think it's about how do you become the workspace for what people need to do on a day-to-day basis. And everybody, you go top down, you go from businesses to families to personal to students. You're all using some form of an email or chat, even if you're not using email because you're young. You have some type of a chat or a text. You're going to need some type of a document repository, and then you're going to need a place to work on things. And if your workflow, probably for us is, heavily email dominated, for a lot of people, your workflow might be chat dominated and AI chat dominated, and it needs to be able to communicate with other people. You want to communicate with an AI agent, you're going to have to do search at some point. But I think search becomes secondary.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I do think it raises the question of where does the people's loyalty to their ecosystem, right? Like, where does that factor in? Like, I have a MacBook. I'm pretty loyal to this, like, environment, right? Is that it would take a lot for me to change that, right? And I think people are similar with Gmail or Google Workspace, right? They're getting really comfortable in there. It's all web-based. It's portable. It's accessible. If it makes my life easier, I'm going to stick with it. So if you're an outside entity, not Google, but if you're somebody else, like displacing users from that environment that they're used to and they're comfortable with is going to be hard. I was reading some of this, and at first I thought, oh man, what a security and privacy issue. And then I remembered I don't think anybody cares about that anymore because you're just willing to
Yeah.
so you just like, let's just open it all up. Let's let
Wait,
everybody have my email. Let's like, it's already gone.
I've
So
already submitted the low road. What's it matter at
Yeah,
this point?
exactly.
So you actually touched on something that was really interesting because of the two examples that you used. I mean, you used Google and Apple as the primary ecosystems. Now, we'd probably put Microsoft as your business ecosystem if you're in that environment. Okay. So for the sake of argument, let's say it's two or three major ecosystems that people are bought into. Maybe like a B tier is like Amazon if you're doing Alexa type stuff.
Mhm.
If you're, if you have Fire TVs, or maybe there's Amazon's kind of floating as a B tier of a platform that you personally are connected to. But then you start to figure out, okay, to your point, the switching costs. Like, what does it take to move?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been playing around more with Grok, and I kind of moved from ChatGPT to Grok. And we can get into this a little bit more later on, but the projects and the workspaces and the way it's kind of managing things is really compelling. So you go like, okay, what's the cost to switch? You can get email over there, and if a service offered email or chat as an ecosystem, and you kind of think if you have Amazon as this kind of B tier, that's not really a social tier. Facebook kind of is. Instagram, WhatsApp has a communication tier. X kind of does as well. You have those things, and if you can break into maybe the email or the communication, it would move some of those B players up to either the Apple or the Gmail tier. Would you switch? And I think until they
Mhm.
figure that out, it's going to be kind of that Google or that Google Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think if you haven't, like Demis Hasabi that did the interview on Lex Friedman, that is, if you want to feel really stupid or like less of a person, like someone who's really eloquent, won a Nobel Prize, that gentleman is brilliant. But like he is talking to your point, Michael, like what are these AI breakthroughs that come into a UI or an actual user experience that is very, very powerful? And one of the things like the future releases that Google is talking about, if I can pull that up real quick.
While you're pulling that up, that Lex Friedman interview was really good. I listened to every single piece of that, and he goes deep, and it's very thoughtful.
Yeah, go back and listen to that. That he is talking. Did you listen to the one before it with the Roman Polsky where he has like a P doom of 99.9995 or something like that, where AI is just
Yeah,
going to
that was
ruin
a
the
that was a
world?
while. I remember him doing like they were asking like, "What's your doom coefficient or your doom
Uh,
number?" Whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
where Demis is a lot more positive. He's like, my P doom's not zero, but I am. But like to his point, he had me believing that AI can solve a lot of these research problems that we're trying
yeah.
to figure out.
It was
And
fascinating.
largely it was search related. Can we bring other disciplines within
Yeah.
to like current disciplines on problems we're trying to solve? But that was super interesting. But like his team at DeepMind, I don't know if you've seen this. One of the features they're looking to release is searching something on the web page. Like, can you summarize formulas? So talking to my actual page and like, what am I seeing here? What would you critique on this page? Taking the AI assistant a lot further, the Copilot, I thought that was really cool. But like, this is a video of them doing what's it called? It's like the elephant yeast
Yeah.
experiment where a thing
Uh-huh.
explodes.
The,
Like,
the Mark
what is the
Rober
reaction?
experiment.
What's happening? I
Yeah.
think Google, from a technology point of view, with their Beam software, Beam hardware and software, with the 3D video. I mean, like
Yeah.
he called, Demise called it like, I want more of this vibe coding experience, this vibe feel where I'm interacting with the AI to make cool tools and make breakthroughs. I mean, Google's really well positioned from their investments in other like side projects, whether it's VO3, Beam, the Lens software. Like they're really set up well to make. So like if some of these features, to your point, not just email, but like I can do 5, 6 other things for my specific job, that actually might cause more people to move over.
Well, and they're getting that crossover, right? The personal and professional side. Like they're uniquely kind of situated there where people use Gmail for personal and all these businesses are now using Google Cloud and Google Business for the business side too. So I think they're capturing that. I did think it was interesting though that as you integrate these kind of AI tools, let's call them, into the more browser experience, it made me wonder if people are ever going to scroll down to the bottom of a website anymore. You just gotta, are you like,
Will
what's
there
the
be a
point of the rest of the site?
will there be a search bar anymore?
Will there be yeah, do you just get to type in like what's on this page? I don't even need to scroll down, right? Like what does that do for content marketers for all these other areas? Because I think just like we saw, like people don't go to page 2 of SEO or SEM, results or search results. Are people really going to scroll? If you can give me the answer quickly, and especially if you can move it to something that's voice or something like that, what's the point of even doing that. I mean, I think the whole user experience is going to be impacted significantly, but um, your, to your point earlier, I do think Google's in a good spot, like with Chrome and the way they have the user's attention and the fact that I think it's hard to displace users. You know, they're also they need to protect that ad revenue because that's what three-quarters of the revenue. I'm not sure, but it's a huge number. That
No, you're
they got to
100%.
protect these users.
I
So
think it's like over 70%. And
yeah,
I think that's probably going to color how Google approaches it. I think we've already seen it where Google injected AI at the top of the search results,
yeah,
which meant you had to be searching first.
yep,
So when you take some of the other AIs like a Chat GPT, gosh, it's kind of funny if you think about how Chat GPT or Grok works. If you go to just the search bar, doesn't that seem very similar to how Google's search looked, where it
yeah.
was just real simple, right? It was just like, hey, what are you looking for? That was Google. That was Google's big innovation was Yahoo was all cluttered and Google's like, this is going to be real simple and it's just going to be search for something. ChatGPT and Grok did the same thing, but it's like, what do you want to do? Not really want to search for like, what do you need help with? And it's that real simple kind of Q&A. Google is still maybe the same initial user interface, but it's leading with search for something. Then it gives you a whole bunch of garbled, tons of results, little AI on top. And, their kind of search first lens is going to skew how they integrated AI, where the other AI first companies started with AI like right in front of you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, from our business, like I think it was Search Engine Journal talked about the AI overviews has deteriorated the first organic result. We used to be like a 30% click through rate. Now it's a 20. But the holy grail in our business now, organics back in the fold is the holy grail because how do I get AI brand mentions? That's largely a function of most of the SEO we do. We've seen companies that made investments in SEO and authoritative content and distribute it really, really well. They get the AI mentions, but the interesting thing is if it's informational, you want it to be branded informational. Like, Suprit said this, right? Like you want the credit for the informational search. So that's happening less and less, and that's kind of where we're seeing. But to your point, whatever it is, I know we always talk about Minority Report or what that looks like. This vibe, point of view, like where you're interacting, telling it what to do. There's something very similar, like on Westworld, where she's making the video game and. But think about a day like if Google has this technology, like you make a weird facial expression, like that's not exactly what I want, and it starts changing the video immediately.
Well, two things, Nick. First, I want to go back to what you're saying about the branded AI answers. Okay, so if I were putting my Google hat on and I was going to say, hey, how do we protect this revenue? I mean, you'd put it right there. You would say, like, look, it's pay to play to get branded mentions. Now, the AI is going to be pure. It's going to give you the honest results and it might link to a page. I'm trying to get a new watch. Hey, what's the best Garmin watch on the market? Or what's the best smart watch in the market? It would give you an analysis of a bunch of things. But in order to get your brand in there,
Yeah.
pay for that. I mean, you're going to have to put some type of a barrier in there in order to some type of a paywall to get that ad revenue. But going to the Minority Report thing, and that kind of gets into some of the stuff that Zuckerberg's doing, some of the haptics and some of the wearables. Okay,
Yes.
so
Talking about that. Yeah.
the Minority Report dream, which has been on, so many different, The Matrix, about, whatever, like we're going to use all these. Okay, do you guys ever think it gets to that? Because believe it or not, navigating a computer is not really that hard. And like your phone, like gestures and swipes, it's not really that hard. Like, are there a lot of people who are going to become 10x more efficient because you can do this on everything? Or is it going to be like facial gestures or wrist gestures? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's like a problem that doesn't need to be solved. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah. No, we could talk about Meta. That's a really good
Yeah.
switch over. But like they made this huge investment in VR. They bought that company. What they buy is God. I
But
mean, or they came out with the bracelet and then they bought
Yeah.
the voice play AI. So like they are making a play at this, but they seem so far behind. They're offering $100 million signing bonuses to open AI engineers. I mean, like you can tell they're trying to make up ground, but like to your, I like the Westworld interface where she sits down, she's making a video game, but she's just talking to the screen. I mean, that if facial recognition and video is able to pick up on cues in my voice, that's largely what I need. Maybe I could touch the screen. I don't need a bracelet or a glove, or that seems to make a little bit more sense to me. I can see that happening.
I mean, I don't think people are in a race to put more hardware devices on their body,
Yeah,
right?
it's expensive.
I could be wrong. I didn't think everybody would use ChatGPT so quickly either. Like, but I think that the device thing is one thing. I think where we have to get to before that is intuition, right? Like, can the AI kind of understand what I'm trying to do as or before I'm trying to do it, right? Like, that's where productivity really comes in. Like, I open my computer for the day, I start, can I get 10% of the way into my day without me having to do anything? Like, can emails be auto drafted based on my inbox? Can the day be planned? Can lunch reservations be made? Can all this be done ahead of time? Can it anticipate my needs and execute? And I think that's where the agentic side of it has already started playing, right? To go execute. Now, how do you tie the execution without prompt, like prompt free execution? Like, how do you get this, that system going? Because I think once you get there, then you're probably more likely to get to a place where that video you were just showing of me just talking, right? Like, just having my like virtual assistant executing all my tasks for me based on my stream of conscious. But I think we got to get to that intuition and kind of execution part based on that first.
That priority
Yeah.
to make AI do those things, I think is way more important than the UI piece of it. Because the UIs that we have, whether it's a screen or whether it's a phone or some light voice stuff, is all pretty good. But I want to solve those problems before we start getting into actual user interface problems. And I think there's a group of people that are desperately trying to find a phone replacement.
Yeah.
And they did it with the pin. There's been like 2 or 3 attempts on a pin. There's been like a half a dozen attempts on glasses. And I think the meta glasses are actually getting kind of good. But everyone's like, hey, this is dominated for going on 20 years, right? Gestures and like how we do touch screens. So there must be something better. And you have like the screen like addictions and all these, so many problems with the phone that people are just like, well, I'm going to create the next thing, right? That's going to replace it. And it's like, good luck, because I'm not sure there's a better idea right now. But everybody's trying, and I think they fail miserably every single time.
Yeah. I mean, if you think it's hard to displace somebody from, ChatGPT to Perplexity, imagine taking a phone away from like how hard it's going to be to take something that's been so ingrained in their life. And for us, it's like most of our adult life, right? Like the thought of changing to another hardware device at this stage, that's going to take a lot. It better be, it better change my life, really.
There's nothing better than like a reasonably good sized phone to get everything you need to get. If it gets too big, it's an iPad and you can't carry it around.
Yeah.
It's too small, you can't use it. If you want to do one of those kind of brick phones or kind of flip phones, I think that's awesome for people to detach the dumb
Yeah.
phones. I mean, that's a whole separate topic, but I love that exists. That's a great, but as far as like productivity and putting this in your pocket with a touch screen, with a very high resolution screen, decent speakers and Bluetooth, good luck replacing that with a pen or glasses or some other type of, you know, whatever. Until we get to the point where Elon's putting it in your brain.
I mean, if you think we're distracted now on our phones, imagine a world where you're just talking out loud and things are just getting done.
Well, that kind of goes to the voice thing too, Nick, that you were showing about the Westworld, like talking into it. I'm not sure people are super comfortable talking to computers yet.
No, not in front of others, man. I'll talk to my
Not in front of
phone in
others.
my car.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's amazing what people are talking to the LLMs about, medical history. I mean, we'll get into Grok, what they're up to, but so you have Perplexity, who's thinking maybe 1 year ahead. Then you have ChatGPT, who's thinking 5 years ahead with their interfaces, and then you have Elon. He's thinking endgame, symbiosis with the AI. I'm not playing around here with immediate revolution. I'm going all the way to endgame. That's kind of his model, right? Like, We're going to Mars. But he's interesting. But back to your point, like, is something better than the phone? This photo always cracks me up that OpenAI would even, make this their thing. The acquisition for $6.5 billion of IO and the partnership with John Ivey to make a new product. I mean, I know it's an AI generated image, but this is hilarious that OpenAI's marketing thought this photo was perfect.
No, it's not a good photo.
But what are they coming up with? What is ChatGPT has to go into hardware. They have to have an Alexa device. They probably have to have their own phone. Everyone, I mean, Apple's lack of investment or being so far behind in the AI race is absolutely their opportunity to make ground and start capturing that data. Because again, maybe data is not even important anymore if everything's going to be synthetic data. But that's crazy to me. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. What is OpenAI's response?
There's a play there, and it's because Apple, in particular, which most people use. I don't know. Do you guys have Android phones?
I have Android. You have Apple? Yep.
Apple, people have said this for the last couple releases. I mean, Steve Jobs is rolling in his grave around how convoluted an Apple iOS interface is. It is not easy. I mean, apps are great. Like, everybody understands how to use apps and download apps. But as far as settings, configurations, it is as bad as Microsoft ever was.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an opportunity, if you're going to get into the how do I consume AI? We talked about browsers, right? Like, that was like, hey, how are these AI browsers going to manifest themselves on our computers? If you go directly to the phone and you say, we are going to start from scratch, kind of like what Elon did with electric cars and SpaceX, right? He basically said, hey, there's an industry out there that people have a need for, and the existing entrenched players are stuck. They're building on top of decades old technology. It's become bloated, slow, whatever. I'm going to start literally from zero, right? With Tesla, we're going to go from the ground up. We're not going to take the shells of other cars and buy batteries. No, we're going to do batteries. We're going to do charging. We're going to do the whole thing, this whole new ecosystem from the ground up. And I think there's an opportunity with phones to say, look, we're going to take an AI first approach. It's still going to have the form factor of a phone. It's still going to do what it's going to do. But I think, OpenAI could do that. I think Elon very easily could say, we're in the phone game right now. And let me tell you, it connects directly to Starlink. And, it could be a very compelling thing. But I think there's opportunities there.
I completely agree. I mean, I think that when you look at the iPhone right now, it's frustrating how it operates and how it doesn't really make your life easier when you need it to be, right? I mean, first of all, what do you have? 3, 4, 5 screens worth of apps you're scrolling through? Like, the only useful, I mean, not the only useful, but one of the most useful features on the iPhone is just to be able to search for the app that you need to get to. Like, that's ridiculous, right? Like, if I want to actually execute a task, I got to go find the app, then I got to go open the app, interact with that, get something done. I mean, it's too many steps to go get something done, and I think that's where I never thought I would. I never really thought, okay, I'm going to switch from iPhone to Android. I never really went to that. But if there was a phone out there that I didn't have 50 apps on it, but instead there was a central user interface that executed everything for me, great. I mean, that's really what I think people are looking for. I think what it is, it's about it's overcomplicated. You need simplification, you need easy to understand, and that way you can get to a bigger user base too, right? I think that there's certain folks out there that these phones have just become too much. It's too much to navigate. It doesn't get you the information quickly enough. By the time you get to where you're going, you forgot what you were looking for. Maybe that's a sign of us and our focus, attention spans, but it's frustrating to not be able to execute a lot of this on an iPhone that has the computing power of, a spaceship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, what do you use your phone for? I bet you use it for texting and phone calls. That's it. Like, what do you really use it for, right? Other than those things. And I think it's because they're not as useful as they could or should be.
And you're both Mac and iPhone users, both of you, right? But the software layer that you use, is it Chrome on your Mac or do you use Safari?
I'm not like, I think it's probably because of a switch factor. Like, I've just used Safari, and then
That's where all your bookmarks are. That's where all your passwords are.
Exactly. It's where all my passwords. Like, honestly, passwords are more important to me than anything else, right? So I use that, and that's what it is. And I think when it started, and maybe all of us are in the same position. it probably started back when like iCloud really hit, right? When you started taking
Uh,
all these pictures on your iPhone
yeah.
and you needed to store them. Like you have kids, you have, now all of a sudden you have 50,000 pictures on your phone. You're like, all right, I need to back these up, or I need to make sure my partner, my wife, whoever like can see them, right? So we need to sync the clouds up. So that's where I think they captured a lot of users, but I think that's one of those things that's going to be difficult to displace people because they've gotten used to being able to do those things. But then it's a question of how important is that to a person?
That's crazy. Yeah, that software layer. I mean, I don't know what John Ivey and Sam Altman are going to come up with, but again, they hint at something small like a phone, a pen, or glasses. I mean, the partnership with is OpenAI doing the Warby Parker partnership. I think that's who they're working with on some of it. I know there's a Ray-Ban partnership. I
Yeah,
know
there's
there's
a
lots
Ray-Ban one.
going
Yeah.
on. So, all right, shifting gears on UI. All right, so you've been using Grok. So let's talk what Elon's up to on the companion front. This is very interesting. I don't have an iPhone, so I've not seen this, and my wife wouldn't let me anyway. But these waifu, I don't even know what that stands for, but is these companions. There is a vampire companion now for those who want a Edward type experience. But we have these girlfriends. They're pretty scandalous. Grok's already been scandalous. Does this mean anything in the UI race? Is this important? I feels like a subscription grab for XAI. I think it's probably is taken off quite a bit, but the uptake on these are pretty big. Any comments about these companions and us just foregoing community now just for AI AI friendship?
I think this is going in the right direction, or the inevitable direction.
Inevitable, yeah, maybe not right.
Well, in classic Elon fashion, let's talk about a new piece of technology and let's, introduce it as if it was a teenage boy developed it, which Elon is. And, great.
He's a
I mean,
gamer. Yeah, yeah, he's a great gamer.
between how he names cars and how he names spaceships and, what he
Ludicrous mode,
does
plaid. Yeah,
becoming, yeah, and the fact that he's had like 7 or 8 wives or in a million, Elon is like an unrestrained, 16-year-old,
was brilliant.
but it was brilliant, right? And so, like in classic Elon fashion, this is how he rolls out these companions. And what I think's interesting about it is I think it's actually spot on, and you can kind of see where it's going to go. Where these first attempts, and there's a kid version, and there's the adult version, and there's the girl version and the boy version. You can see where it's going to go, where you can, as a user, inevitably you'll be able to customize this, and you'll be able to not only customize the skin, is it like the form factor of it, but the personality. And you're going to have, and I think this is not too terribly far away because you're already seeing it with some of the personas that you already have inside of ChatGPT or Grok, is you're going to want to have these kind of virtual assistants, whether they're companions or whether they're like actual assistants. Suprit, where we're talking about, are they going to check my email? They're going to schedule events for me. Are they going to be like my research buddy partner because I'm in school or I'm in industry and I need somebody who's an expert? I'm going to pull this person in who I've designed, right? And they're going to be like my little co-pilot while I'm doing my research paper. I think that is so inevitable to put a face on it and to put a personality on it rather than this kind of omnipresent AI, which is just one big super brain that you interact with, like a chat. I think you're going to have separate ones, separate tasks. And if one of them, Elon, happens to be not safe for work, well, then great. But you can see that you can go.
Yeah, I mean, in marketing, it's about trust, right? In any marketing relationship or any sales relationship starts with zero trust. Therefore, that's why SEO is about showing your authority, your expertise, so that we can like at least some modicum of trust so that you'll give me your email and I can start interact with you and start to grow trust until we get to a sales where you have 100% trust. These companions and we anthropomorphize AI. I'm assuming that gives more. As a marketer, I'm very excited about companions now pitching my products, right? Celebrity. We've already seen celebrity influencers. Was it Vogue? Started doing just AI models because they don't complain, they don't cost anything, and many times I can make them look exactly the way that the brand should look, within what I'm trying to do, and I never have to worry about diversity. And so again, if this is giving the users what they want from a marketing perspective, I'm excited. As a father, I'm terrified. I don't know, Suprit, what do you think?
I mean, I try to see the utility and kind of the, you know, not the upside, but like, all right, what does this represent in a lot of these? But I think for me, it's these lines are blurring. They're just blurring so quickly, right? And it's not for me, right? I can say that like for me as a user, not as a technologist, but as a user, I say I just want something to do what I'm asking it to do. If I'm asking you to research it, do it. If I'm asking you to synthesize information, do it. I'm not looking for a companion in that realm. Like I don't need to have a name, a fake, like
Yeah.
it's my computer,
I
right?
got a
But
wife, a kids. Yeah, I got a lot of friends. I don't need.
and so like maybe, maybe it's not for everybody, but I can see there is an upcoming, demographic of people that are looking for that and are looking for a different experience. And so you kind of have to be, aware of that or cognizant of that. But I think these lines are blurring into this world, and whatever side you're on, it's going that way, right? Like, I mean, the fact is it's going in that direction. It's going to be up to users where they draw their own lines. But I do think that this is like the warp like reality is it's already here, right?
Right in the
There are
world.
certainly some moments where I see something, I'm like, man, have I just missed the point here? Am I past it? Did I miss it? Did I miss the wave here? Like, do I just not get it? Or like, how do you look at it and figure out where it plays and how it functions and use that to relate to people?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think there's two manifestations of the same thing. And on the companion side is where it gets a little creepy,
Yeah.
where it gets a little weird. And there are going to be people who are already kind of detached and lonely. There's obviously a loneliness epidemic, there's a depression, there's a mental health epidemic where this may either help or hurt. Like, I don't know, jury's out on that, but there's that side of that manifestation of this technology. The other manifestation is in terms of assistants and coworkers,
Yes, exactly.
where this is inevitable. I mean, you're already seeing AI replace some jobs. But when does AI replace a job with like an actual AI agent where it's not just a tool that does and automates some work that was previously manual? Like, normally when we think about technical innovation, you think about a previously manual process which has been automated through some type of technology. AI certainly falls into that bucket. But when it automates the technology, but then not just displaces the job, but replaces it with an
Yeah.
assistant who actually now has a personality, because now you can actually talk to the person, because that is
Yeah.
much more natural than interacting with like computer code, right? So now
Yeah.
you're interacting with, let's do a very simple example. You could do a support representative where maybe as a consumer, rather than interacting with a live agent or interacting with a text agent, these are already getting automated, right? I mean, we're already seeing that. But if it's an actual person and you had to, not only speak with the person and they behave like a real person, they have a real name, maybe you hop on a video call because they need to see what you're doing. And we talked about that. You showed the experiment thing earlier. I mean, that's AI looking at something. So imagine calling a support rep and it's actually like an assistant, a companion. You're talking to them, they can see it, and they're just like, well, hey, show me what the problem is. And you just do like this and
Yeah.
you show them. And they're like, okay, hey, great. Here's what you're dealing with. Hey, I'm going to send over somebody later on and a live person shows up. But that
Or a
type of
robot.
interaction would be meaningfully better than the already have chatbots on every website.
Exactly right.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
going to see that. We're right there.
We're already there, right?
Yeah.
Like people are already comfortable getting information from AI. They're already comfortable conversing or having these dialogues. And I think we're already there in terms of having certain AI or certain job functions being replaced by AI. That's just the way it is. I mean, if you look at Beam or you look at a couple of these other companies, they're out there. I mean, those agents are able to, book demos or handle customer service requests. I mean, they're able to do those functions 24/7 on a script. Like we're already there. And I think that Michael, the point you raise is spot on. Like, and along with that, it's that we as users are getting more comfortable interacting with them. It's not like I don't see people saying, no, I demand to talk to a live person. Like, that is not
No.
happening anymore.
No, I definitely see you. We've all been in medical, right? And to have the companion's name is Annie in Grok, and let's say Dr. Annie, and she's like to your point, Michael, we're using Lens software. I'm having a conversation about my medical condition. I don't want to go to the urgent care. I don't want to make an appointment. I don't want to I don't want to be in a waiting room. Let me just talk to Dr. Annie and we'll start talking through my symptoms and what's going on. That's already happening in the chat. I would imagine even more trust with an actual live avatar that I'm interacting with and a camera that's looking at what I'm doing. Again, no browser, just a video camera, a couple pieces of hardware, and I'm actually getting what I need out of the experience.
Yeah. And there's a couple different use cases here too. There's I'm using my computer or my phone to access information or to do work. So can AI automated do it for me, make it faster? Okay. But the other use case is I need help with something and I'm not exactly sure what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea, I mean, we used the help example, we kind of did, the marketing example, the influencer example, right? But the assistant that can sit next to you and talk through a problem because you don't know what you need to do, becomes like a research assistant or becomes, I've used some of ChatGPT's functionality with a voice to kind of talk through a problem. And I don't know exactly what I'm looking for. It's like, hey, I'm trying to learn about this, or I want to know more. Or what do you think? Because I need another opinion. That's AI not just automating tasks. That's AI providing a complement to you, just like a smart person would or a friend would. I think that's coming. I think people are going to get pretty used to that. And I think you're going to need some type of a persona or a personality on top of it. I mean, how many people use the voice function on ChatGPT? Do you guys use that one? Did you?
Yeah. Yeah. I always go British.
Yeah.
Seems smarter. I trust, again, it's that trust thing. I trust the British
The
accent.
hallucinations don't matter if it's in an accent.
If it feels more, right. So some people might like, the sexy anime voice.
Yeah. Right.
Learn.
Not
But
for medical advice. It's got to be British.
You're putting a certain skin on top of it just on the audio, but to make it like a virtual person thing that's out there, I think that's really close. And I think, like I said, there's this kind of two manifestations of it. There's this weird companion side, and then there's this digital assistant side that has a distinct personality for the task that you're trying to do. And I've always said this about a lot of the AI stuff, the initial kind of problems with AI, where people are like, well, AI makes mistakes. And I'm like, you know what? Nick makes mistakes.
Yeah.
I still talk to Nick. Like, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's fun. I like having coffee with him. Like, he's great. Like, he's not right about everything, but that idea that AI shouldn't have to be perfect, but it's going to have a personality. And if that personality helps you and you like being with it, well, then it's good. Like, you should keep doing it. And I think AI is going to take on these different personalities rather than this one kind of monolithic Star Trek computer that's just the computer. I think it's going to be slices.
Which is what I think most people view it as right now, is just this like thing, right? It's just, that's why they just call it AI, the AI, right? I think that's the vision of it. But as we advance and as you go to agents or as you go to customizations or as you go, like to your example earlier, Michael, like you're doing a brainstorming session, you're like, you know what? I need chat to pretend like they're a CFO with 35 years of experience in such and such industry. And I want to poke holes in my go-to-market strategy or this or that. Like, hey man, I can certainly see the value in that. Like, think about when we were doing startups, right? Like that would have been hugely beneficial to help prep your pitch meeting or your fundraising, or, to get like anticipate those questions and go through that. Like that would have saved a lot of headaches, right? That would have been very valuable. And if people are using it in that way, great. I mean, that's a very valuable use for it.
Use it for the testing example. Like, hey, you have an act as you're an average consumer who's using blah blah. Go log into my website and then tell me what you think. Don't tell me if it works, right? That's testing. Like QA, like, did it break? Tell me what you think about this.
Yeah.
And don't act as an expert. Just act as an average, whatever. And you have like a little, I think the personality,
persona, yeah.
The personality layer on the AI, I think, is going to be more and more common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't give numbers, but both Dario Amodei and Demis Hassabis, they both comment about how much engineering and research work goes into these LLM personalities. That's like a huge part of these models. It's interesting. Like what tone, which again gets how much is manipulative, how much is actually value added. I wanted to shift gears. Have you guys heard about BitChat? Jack Dorsey's. So for those of us who want to get off grid, Jack Dorsey is using, I believe is mostly like Bluetooth technology. So people can have comments and be outside the internet for their communication. I think this is pretty brilliant. I mean, the founder of Twitter, this guy knows what he's up to. Pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, this is going to get shut down so fast, and I love it. Like, if you haven't, Suprit, have you looked into this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool. So besides the fact that it looks like bitch at when you read it, like when I first saw it, like I read it, I didn't read it as bit chat because it's not a capital C. It's just like all lowercase. Yeah. But the ability to circumvent Wi-Fi cell networks for communication is brilliant and it needs to exist.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great. I mean, and even if you look at the theory behind it and using other devices to basically piggyback off of, and there's obviously, again, going back to the security and privacy thing, I just don't think it is what it is, but I think you're using those device, I know that you're encrypting everything in between, but I think that it's heading in a really powerful direction to allow more and more people to leverage it, allow you to use it when, networks are down or things are in disaster situations, things like that. I mean, it has a ton of functionality, and I see a lot of value in something like this.
When governments turn off.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
If you have, I mean, it has the problem where it has to have some density. You have to have user density in a specific area. But if you're in a city, if you're in a crisis environment,
Yeah.
certainly like natural disaster, war zones, revolution type things, I mean, the ability to communicate that way is going to be extremely powerful and I think dangerous to a lot of people.
That's
And
smart.
even I mean,
Good
there's
way.
also like not emergency situations where it comes in handy too. You're leaving Mercedes Benz after you're leaving these crowded areas and you can't do what you need to do. I mean, there's a lot of applications for this that I think people in all walks of life and in all different settings could benefit from. So
Yeah, this is the survivalists, the people with the canned goods and the waters stocked up in their basements. This is the cyber survivalist. I just want to be off grid. I have an option to stay off grid. Really interesting quote when somebody was comparing Jeff Bezos, your margin is my business. This, I think it was Lumen, the marketing investment bank. They said the new quote should be your service is my business for the LMM. So everything that we're talking about in terms of these UI, UX, these different companies coming out, can Perplexity make it? Sundar Pichai, he's on record. I think Sergey Brin, I think is actually the one that said it. It's like, if it's a really good feature, we'll just throw it in the LLM, and then what's to stop? So like the convergence of all these technologies and them doing everything.
yeah.
Yeah. If I am an owner of an app and I'm that's a huge part of my income, like I'd be very afraid right now. Very afraid. Like, like you were just saying, on my phone, I have to search through all these different, eventually the phone is AI enhanced and does everything for me. Every app that I use for productivity is just part of what I do. And I'm talking into my device.
Well,
That's where we're going.
That gets into who owns the system of record. And for day-to-day use, your system of record might be buried in Google, right? Because it's Gmail, it's Google Calendar, there's a bunch of Google Docs in there. Maybe you have a work system of record, which is your Microsoft Office, things like that. But if AI connects as a system of record, meaning it's not your emails, your chats, some of your social stuff, and you can always go back to that to then ask a question, get results, provide summaries, histories, recall factor of like, when did this happen? And it tells you because it is the system of record because it's pulled everything in. Then you're like, boy, kind of like Apple. You're talking about Apple
Yeah.
being like the system of record for your photos, right? It's got all my photos. If these AIs can have, and everybody would pay for it. I mean, you're gonna pay out the nose for it, and
Yeah.
you probably love it. But if it can just be your system of record, where you can just go, hey, where did we go last year? Like, did we stay at this hotel? Like, what was it? Or, when was the last time I heard from so and so? And it just answers all those questions. The AIs can do that. A little bit more compute, higher subscription price, but I think that's the inevitable.
Well, then you bundle it in with some type of hardware layer or device, and all of a sudden you do, we talked about it. I think there is an entry point in this market because we're probably not alone, right? The frustration with what does this phone actually get me or what is it doing for me? It's declining by the day.
Last comment I want to get you guys' take on. Peter Thiel, when asked if he would combine consciousness with the AI, he paused and basically affirmed that, yes, I'm all in. I'm going to go cyborg. I'm going to integrate with the AI. We are at a point where that's potentially possible with Neuralink and how smart these systems are advancing. Would you all get an implant
Today?
Not today.
Not today. Would have meant survival of the species. I
That's
don't
an easy
know.
no.
Yeah. I think that's how you get to, now we can do kind of sci-fi stuff real quick, but the reason why the VR stuff hasn't really taken off is because of the UI.
There you go.
It's goggles, right? I mean, it's like it's cool, but they haven't figured out the form factor, and no matter how slim the form factor gets for VR, it's never going to really do haptics properly. It's never going to do smell. It's never going to do, the rest of the thing that would make it compelling. And the only way you get to that is going to be with the brain implant, and it'll just bypass all that. And rather than your eyes being the input, it'll be a sensor, and you'll be able to not only see things that you couldn't see before. It's going to be the Star Trek Geordi LaForge, thing where you can see infrared, and they're already experimenting with that. Can you see infrared? Can you see ultraviolet? Can you pick up sound? Just like, like a echolocation. That's how you do it. Cause then eventually you can simulate the touch, and then you're basically brain in a vat / matrix.
We're living in the simulation already, don't you know?
Yeah, that's where it goes for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I mean, the thought that, back to that Demis interview, brilliant, physicist. I don't know what his background is, other than like he got a Nobel Prize for protein folding and invented AlphaGo and all these great programs. But he was saying there is no better supercomputer than the human brain. It's just limited by storage and memory. That's the only thing. And so if you're able to extend storage of the human brain, like, integration for him is probably, just an end game that you're not going to be able to avoid. So if your P-Doom's pretty high, then you probably figure out how to get cozy with the robot. So anyway, any closing thoughts? I thought this was fun. We did a whole hour. It was, as usual, we kept the sci-fi references to just the right amount. I thought it was good. I thought it was perfect amount. So
fun.
All right.
Yeah, this was great.
So, all right. Until next time, we will see you. Hope everyone is using the AI responsibly and healthily. And please hug your family, hug your friends, stay human, please.
Hey guys, do soon.
See ya. Bye.